Kids and the Law topic: the age of majority. For the first segment of the Bridges Project is the subject of teens transitioning into early adulthood and the changes that occur going from being a minor under legal guardianship of parents or guardians to becoming responsible for their own personhood. When children grow up and have to take care of themselves, it is known as coming of age or the age of majority under the law. The age of majority is a term used by lawyers to describe that point in a person's life when he or she is legally no longer considered a child. In essence, it is an arbitrary time when a child becomes an adult in the eyes of the law. Until fairly recently, the age of majority was set at 21 in most states. After the 26th Amendment gave 18-year-olds the right to vote in federal elections, most states, including California, lowered their age of majority to 18. At the age of majority, teenagers acquire the right to enter into binding contracts, buy or sell property, including real estate and stock, marry without the written consent of a parent or guardian and a judge, sue or be sued in their own names, compromise, settle, or arbitrate a claim, make or revoke a will, inherit property outright, vote in national, state, and local elections, consent to all types of medical treatment, join the military without parental consent. This does not mean that once your child reaches the age of majority, he or she gains all of the rights and privileges available to adults. Some rights and responsibilities come earlier, while others come later. For example, a California resident can obtain a provisional driver's license at age 16, but cannot purchase alcoholic beverages until age 21. What the age of majority has come to mean is that point when an individual is treated as an adult for most purposes. Reaching the age of majority, however, also involves some losses. These losses generally correlate with the rights that children are given for their own protection. For example, the right to their parents' support, care, and shelter, their right to treatment within the juvenile court system, and their protection against exploitation and harmful or dangerous employment conditions. Note, an exception to the rule that your child must wait until age 18 to acquire the rights and obligations of an adult would apply if he or she were emancipated. To understand how this might occur, as well as its legal consequences, see Emancipation. The next episode we will discuss the next topic from Kids and the Law. My name is Thalia Lechamp. Join us again for the next lesson under Bridges, Transitioning the Youth into Adulthood. Kids in the Law topic: Emancipation. Legally speaking, emancipation is that point in time when parents are no longer responsible for their children, and children no longer have to answer to their parents. They also no longer have to provide their child with support or necessities such as food, shelter, and medical care. This means that your minor child does not have to be responsible to you and may live wherever he or she wishes. In addition, an emancipated minor can make his or her own medical, dental, and psychiatric care decisions. An emancipated youth also may, for example, enter into a contract, sue and be sued in his or her own name, make or revoke a will, buy or sell interest in property, and apply for a work permit without parental consent. At the same time, the minor's parents lose control over his or her earnings. The minor must instead take care of his or her own affairs. In California, an emancipated minor's identification card or driver's license can state his or her emancipated status. Some kids believe that they can divorce their parents or seek emancipation without their parents' permission. The truth, however, is that kids cannot unilaterally divorce their parents. In California, emancipation occurs automatically under certain circumstances. For example, as soon as a person turns 18, he or she legally becomes an adult and is emancipated. When minors get married, they become emancipated from their parents. Emancipation also occurs if a minor is on active duty with the armed forces. In addition, a minor may become emancipated in California with a petition to the courts. In such instances, the minor at least 14 years of age must state that he or she would like to be emancipated and is willing to live separate and apart from his or her parents or guardian. The minor must be able to prove that this decision was made voluntarily and that he or she has parental consent or acquiescence to manage his or her own financial affairs. The minor must explain to the court how much money he or she makes and how future expenses will be handled, including the cost of rent, clothes, food, and entertainment. Before the petition is heard, the minor's parents, guardian, or other person entitled to custody must be notified, unless the minor can show that their address is unknown or that notice cannot be given for some reason. Also, a judge must find that it is in the minor's best interests to become emancipated. If circumstances change after the emancipation order has been granted, court has the power to rescind the order and notify the minor's parents. Note: running away from home is not a legitimate way of becoming emancipated. Nor can parents simply abandon their responsibilities by forcing their children out of the home. In such situations, children may acquire the right to determine their place of residence and make certain other decisions without losing their right to parental support. See Parents' Rights and Responsibilities. The next episode we will discuss the next topic from Kids and the Law. My name is Thalia Lechamp. Join us again for the next lesson under Bridges, Transitioning the Youth into Adulthood. Kids and the Law topic, Parents and Responsibilities. Parents have many responsibilities when it comes to their children, but they have important rights as well. Relating to custody and control, parents must make important decisions about their children's lives, such as where the children will live, what school they will attend, when medical care is appropriate, and what, if any, religion they will practice. These rights are constitutionally protected and generally cannot be taken away unless it can be shown that the parents are unfit. Cooperation and obedience. Parents are expected to control their children and are permitted to discipline them, not to the point of abuse or neglect, however. In some instances, children may run away from home, refuse to go to school, or be beyond parental control. If the situation is extreme, the parents may seek to give up legal responsibility for the child. Or if the parents fail to adequately control their child, a judge may determine that the child is in need of supervision and declare him or her a ward of the court. When this occurs, the court sometimes takes custody of the child and the responsibility for that child's basic needs and education. See Kids in Need of Supervision. Children are not required to obey a parental order to do something dangerous or illegal. Parents who allow or encourage children to commit dangerous or illegal acts may be charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor, child abuse, or neglect. Earnings. While most parents allow their child to keep his or her earnings, parents also have a legal right to such wages. There are exceptions to this rule, however. A child's earnings may not be available to parents if all the parents have exploited, neglected, or abandoned the child, and the child has brought suit to be freed from parental control. Recovery for death or injury. If a child is killed or injured, parents are entitled to bring a lawsuit to recover costs such as medical or funeral expenses from the person responsible. Parental responsibilities. Parents' most important responsibility is to support their children. They are legally obligated to provide their children with the necessities of life. Such necessities are not limited to food, clothing, and shelter, but also include medical care. In addition, parents are expected to support their children according to their ability and station in life. This means that the children should share in both parents' standard of living. This responsibility falls on both parents equally and applies to children's adoptive parents as well. The failure to provide adequate food, clothing, shelter, or parental care and supervision may lead to criminal prosecution for neglect. If a county is required to support a child, it can seek reimbursement from parents who are capable but have refused to provide such support. Parents also are required to reimburse the county for support costs incurred during the detention of a child under a juvenile court order. And parents must pay the county back for legal services provided to minors in juvenile court proceedings. The duty to provide support to children lasts until the child reaches the age of majority, 18 or 19 if the child is still enrolled in high school full-time. The fact that a child's parents are not married does not affect the parent's responsibility to support their child. If parents are unmarried or divorced and cannot agree on how much each should contribute toward the support of their children, the courts may be called upon to decide. One parent, or the child through a guardian ad litem, may bring an action against the other parent to enforce the duty to pay child support. Alternatively, the county may proceed on behalf of a child to enforce the child's right of support against a parent who fails to provide it. A judge may order one parent to make specified payments to the other, or child support. Court's authority to order a parent to pay child support or to enforce such an award includes the following: a writ of execution or levy, wage garnishment, civil contempt proceedings, or criminal prosecution. Note: a stepchild, a child from a prior marriage, is generally not entitled to support from a step-parent. Birth parents remain primarily responsible for child support unless the step-parent adopts the child. If, however, a step-parent or other person provides necessary support to a child in good faith, when the custodial parent neglects to do so, that person may recover the reasonable value of those necessities from the custodial parent. However, the natural parent, stepchild, or state would not be required to reimburse such costs if the support was provided voluntarily, unless there was a specific agreement to do so. Supervision and control of children. Parents may be morally responsible for supervising and controlling their children. However, parents generally are not legally responsible for the acts of their children. There are exceptions. For example, parents who encourage their children to break the law may be found guilty of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Also, parents who know or should have known that their child engages in improper conduct, or who aid or encourage such conduct, may be held liable for their children's acts. There are specific statutes that hold parents liable for certain harm caused by their children. Injuries from guns. Parents may be required to pay victims up to $60,000 if more than one person is injured. Willful misconduct. If the child causes injury or death to another, or property damage, the parents are liable for up to $25,000 in damages. This could apply to the parents of a child who commits an internet-related crime, such as software piracy. Graffiti. Parents may be liable for the costs of removal, repair, and or replacement of property, and for keeping the property free of graffiti for up to 1 year. If there are repeated graffiti offenses, parents could be liable for up to $50,000 in fines that their children cannot pay. Tear gas injuries. Parents who have signed a minor's consent form to obtain tear gas may be liable for the child's negligent or wrongful acts or omissions. Truancy fines. Parents may be required to pay a $50 fine for the fourth violation in 1 year. Injuries to another person on school grounds, damage to school property, failure to return borrowed school property, Parents may be liable for up to $10,000 and up to $10,000 for any reward. The school may withhold grades, diplomas, or transcripts until these amounts are paid. Shoplifting. If a child steals from a store or library, the parents may be responsible for up to $500 plus costs. Curfew violations. Parents must pay the actual administrative and transportation costs incurred by the police for picking up and returning children to their homes on a second violation. The next episode, we will discuss the next topic from Kids and the Law. My name is Thalia Lechamp. Join us again for the next lesson under Bridges, Transitioning the Youth into Adulthood.